Alright, I only want you to watch this video if you are interested in having a good year. If you are interested in having a good life, lots of happiness, lots of success, lots of abundance, for your hard work to pay off. If you are prepared for those type of things, I want you to watch the video. If that is not what you want, then this is not your video. Alright, I want you to make some notes. I want you to really pay attention to what I'm going to tell you, because I'm not going to give you fluff. I'm going to give you information that is going to be to your benefit, that is going to be beneficial for you, that is going to make sure that you can potentially have the best freaking year of your life from basically May 2024 up until June 2025. And some of you already know what I'm talking about, but I want you to listen as if you've never heard before, because then we take on better. All right, so welcome to this video. My name is Adrian Nelson. I am a life transformation alchemist, and I help people to discover, unlock, expand, benefit from, and in healthy ways maintain their own highest potential, because everybody has got amazing magical potential on this planet. We are waking up to it. We are waking up to our potential, you know, as beautiful human beings, for what it is that we can do and what it is that we can reach and what it is that we can achieve. And if you follow the guidance that I give you in this video, so I want you to listen from beginning till end, and you might need to listen more than once, because every time we hear something, we're taking it on new, all right? Make some notes in your journal. And if you are journaling, fantastic. If you have been journaling and you've neglected it for a while, life has been a little bit rough and crazy there for a while, now is the perfect time to take it up again, to uptake it again, to start again. And if you have not been journaling, you want to start today. Make that commitment to your own success, to your own abundance. And you know, it's so incredible. I heard Colette Baron Reed say this, you know, in one of the coaching sessions that I was with her. And she said that journaling can be so simple. You start with, you just put a dot on a page. That's it. You can start that simply. Don't overthink it. Okay? So, in this video, first of all, thank you so very much for joining. And if you are interested in living your greatest life, if you are interested in guidance that is really created with the intention to support you, you know, I don't just create things for likes and all those type of things, you know, because then we sort of like go in a little bit of a wishy-washy direction sometimes. With that being said, I would appreciate your like, I would appreciate your subscription, tick that all notifications, definitely let me know where in the world we are connecting from. I always love to know where in the world we're connecting from, because we are all one. You know, me connecting to you, you connecting to me, is all of us connecting to that truer part of ourselves. Because I see myself in everybody. It's so amazing. I just love it. All right. So, in this video, we are speaking about this incredible energy, which is that of Jupiter, the planet of good luck and influence and all those, you know, lovely things that we love to have, in the energy of Gemini. Now, first things first, let's just park everything right there. All right. So let's break this down. So the way that I want to break it down for you is I'm going to explain the energy of Jupiter to you, and then let's talk about the energies where Jupiter, the planet itself, is most at home or most comfortable in. And then we speak about the energy of Gemini, because in actual fact, when you speak, when you kind of try to think of it like this, all right, try to think of the whole cosmos as planet Earth, because we've got this idea that the entire cosmos is all the same. All right, so let's think of the entire cosmos, the entire universe, as planet Earth. Now, when you think of planet Earth, there are different spots on this planet. Some are hotter, some are colder, you know, some are desert, some are forest, you know, different spaces on this planet. All right. Now, so think of those different sort of continents and like sort of like, you know, different places or countries as different planets. Okay. Then try to think of the, when we think of the zodiacal energies, let's think of that as the nations in that particular country. So remember, the country is a planet, the nation is an energy, a zodiacal energy. It's almost like a universal personality, basically. All right, and then There is the individual experience, which is the individual people, so us or animals or plants or whatever, that thrive in certain parts of the world, and in other parts of the world, it's difficult for them to survive. It might be treacherous. They might not even make it. Okay? So try to think of the planets in that way. So Jupiter as a planet, being a country on planet Earth, all right, it's got a certain personality. And so if you kind of think of Jupiter's personality, it's got a very big personality. It is an energy of, it's an energy of abundance. It's an energy of focus. It's an energy of good luck. It's an energy of fortune. So if you kind of think of when we speak about, let's say, the expression of old money, all right? People that have been having wealth running through their family for years, and people that were born into wealth, they are used to it. So to them it's as normal as breathing. It's within their DNA, it's within their pathology. So they are usually able to align with abundance quite easily because that is their subconscious sort of programming. All right? And then Gemini, which is a zodiacal energy, so a nation. Gemini, which is ruled by the planet Mercury, which is a communicative planet, and Mercury rules both Gemini as well as Virgo, all right? And if you think about it, if you know a Gemini or you know a Virgo, you will know that they've got very fast energy going on, and both of them are typically, there's like a nervousness and a jumpiness and a quickness about them. And Virgo has the tendency to internalize all of that quite a lot, quite often, and Geminis typically Geminis typically have this tendency to externalize everything. Whatever comes in the brain, they just speak it. And a lot of times, for that very reason, people might think of Virgos as very aloof, and maybe Geminis as almost sort of disrespectful, but it's really just the different energies of who they are. Okay, so in this one we're just speaking about Gemini because from May the 25th 2024 till June the 9th 2025 is actually a period of great prosperity, great luck, great abundance, really, really great things. All right, but you're going to have to put a lot of work into it. This is not one of those energies where you can just sit back and relax and wait for everything to happen. It's not quite going to go that way. All right, but it is still a really, really fantastic placement. And just to give you an idea, the last two times that Jupiter was in the energy of Gemini, where it normally is for like 12 months because Jupiter is a much larger planet and it takes about what we in Earth terms would refer to, it would take around about 12 months, give or take a few days here and there. But it takes about 12 months to sort of move through a certain energy into a next energy. So the last time, or the last two times, just for reference sakes, when this beautiful energy of Jupiter was in Gemini was from June 2000 until July 2001. And then again from June 2012 till July 2013. All right? So just think about that. What has been happening in your life during that time? What were the breakthroughs that were happening at that time? What were the changes that were happening, not just in your life, but in everybody else's life around you? What are the things that has happened? All right. I hope that light, I know that light is quite shining on it now. It's quite bright. It's the middle of the day. So I do apologize if you can't see me all that clearly. I hope that you can. But you are here predominantly for the information. Okay. So the last time that, sorry. So the last sort of transit. So transit is basically the influence of the planet. All right. So the last transit we had, so now we are thinking sort of like a year back from, so basically a year back from May the 25th, 2024. All right. The energy of Jupiter was in Taurus. All right. And so Taurus is a very, it's a very present energy. It's a very loving energy. It's got real integrity, real honesty. But the thing with Taurus is because they try so hard sometimes to really, really make things great for everybody else, they can sometimes put a lot of pressure on their own shoulders. So if you think of the last year, prior to May the 25th, it might have been a period where you tried really, really hard, to refine your life, your offer, all those sort of things, whatever it is that you do in your life, your daily experience of life, but you may have run yourself into a lot of troubles and a lot of sort of like challenges and stuff like that. All right. So for a lot of energies, it definitely was a time where we had to sort of like man up and woman up and person up and, you know what I mean. And you had to maybe realize that maybe it was really time to speak up about certain things where maybe typically you would not have spoken up so much about it. Okay. Now, the energy of Gemini, there is a more childlike sort of energy. Now, I'm pretty sure you would agree with me that for a very, very outstretched minute there, things have become very serious and very sort of like super overwhelming and, just a lot to deal with. Okay. So Gemini energy is that breath of fresh air that comes in for you once again. Now, before I continue, I just want to, so remember the whole thing about the planets and the countries and those sort of things, So remember, when you think about it, certain nationalities and certain personalities might be more at home in one place on planet Earth, one country as opposed to a different country, So if you have been growing up in the desert, for example, you've been living in the desert all your life, and somebody takes you kaplunk and they, for example, throw you, let's say you've grown up in Egypt, and now, that's where you've been all your life, or Morocco or something like that, and then you sort of like plunked into a place like, I don't know, the North Pole, It's like, say you go to Antarctica, for example. It's a very different sort of energy, and it's going to throw you really, really hard, most likely. Okay? Now, it's the same thing with these different energies. Okay? So, just to let you know, the benefic placements of Jupiter, so the energies where Jupiter typically is doing well, is in that of Aries, which is a very sort of new beginnings energy, that of Taurus, which is a very love and Venus and all that sort of stuff. So remember what the last year, it was all about getting clarity about, what it is that you want and what it is that you need. And there may have been, I think for everybody there in the last 2 years even, there was a significant amount of loss that has taken place. And that was all Taurus sort of like, almost like redefining what certain things mean for you. And in many ways, that is Jupiter's energy. So people have this way of sometimes, knowing just a little thing and then they sort of like place that on a pedestal type of thing, which is not really the best way to go about things. And then also, it's very good in the energy of Leo as well, which is sort of like an energy of shine and power and that sort of stuff. Okay. So the energy of Jupiter, it's all about growth. It's all about fortune. It's all about good fortune. It's about healing. It's about miracles. It's about expansion. So with that being in Gemini, which is actually good, even though when you look at typical astrology, the energy of Sagittarius will sometimes be what we call sort of like in detriment in Gemini. In other words, it's not all that comfy in Gemini. All right. So that is where, a lot of the debunking comes in. So this is what I want you to know. First and foremost, this is a fantastic energy. It really, really is. It really, really is. But again, you can't just sit back and wait for it to happen. That is not the way the cookie is going to crumble. All right. So if you are thinking that you can just sit back and everything is just going to be so fantastic and there's nothing to worry about, well, yeah. So you want to put in some work. But this is a year in which you can make really, really positive progress in your life. You can expect miracles that you've never expected. Breakthroughs that you've never expected. Okay? Good luck and good fortune that you never expected. But that means that you have to be willing to put in the work. Now, when I say put in the work, I'm not talking about killing yourself and drenching your soul. That is not what I'm talking about. What I'm speaking about is becoming more focused about what it is that you want. Really tapping into your magic, following your light. This is a year during which the desires that you have for your heart, something that you may have been wanting to do for a really, really long time, you're actually getting to do that. All right. And to give you a personal example of that, so I'm currently living in an apartment with my Jack Russell doggy, And apartment living with a Jack Russell can be quite a challenging thing. So for a couple of months, I've been trying to find a different place of accommodation, and I just couldn't. I just couldn't. And I was saying to myself, Adrian, what did you say to a client if they came to you with this, And I realized to myself that I was becoming so focused and so frustrated on what wasn't working. I said, well, maybe you're asking the wrong question. Let's go into peace. Let's have it from peace. And interestingly enough, this was on the morning of May the 25th, 2024. That was the morning, 3-4 hours later, somebody contacted me with the most ideal space that I could ever imagine. So beautiful, way better than I can imagine. And I also get to do something that I've been wanting to do for quite a while, which is create hand-poured candles and, infuse all that magic and that energy in there. And I will probably start off with 2, so maybe like a space clearing one, which is really great, especially if you're having challenges, maybe say with like incense smoke and stuff like that. And as well as holy guardian angel invocation candles. And I'm really, really excited about that. But again, when I walked into the space, it was just perfectly set up for that. So that is pretty much the energy that we're getting at the moment. So you kind of get to really live the dreams that you want to live. You get to sort of work the way you want to work. So this is, this is a space in which obviously, you can win things like the lotto and stuff like that, or you get a big inheritance. Those things are very possible. But I don't, again, want you to sit back and just say, well, the universe is going to bless me, I'm going to win the lottery. Because remember, you're sort of competing against a couple of million, and in many cases, a couple of billion different energies. Everybody wants to win the lotto, So this is more a space where you get to really apply yourself in the way that you'd like to apply yourself. Pretty much right place, right time, that sort of thing, okay? But again, it requires a more focused energy. Now, when I say a more focused energy, I'm not meaning that you shouldn't be lighthearted. In actual fact, lighthearted is kind of very much on the top of the list for the energies that are available for you during, from sort of like May the 25th until June the 9th, 2025. So that pretty much gives you a whole year, okay? And so I think what you really want to kind of be open to the idea is that this is a space where you can maybe build your sense of community, especially if you've been feeling very lonely and isolated, unsupported. That is pretty much what you can open yourself to collaborative sort of projects and activities. Those things are very, very much possible. So I can almost say that if your daily task has started to feel like sort of like a schlep to you, basically. It started to feel like this heavy burden on your shoulders. Then you're going into the space where you can sort of get that light back into what you are doing. You can get that joy sort of back. And let me know in the comments what your dream is, what it is that you'd like to have, Let everybody else know this is what you are open to. And when you see someone else's comment, I want to strongly encourage you to place your hand on your heart, to close your eyes, and from your heart to their heart, just send light to their dream, okay? The more we send light to others, the more we have light coming to ourselves, okay? It's that amazing thing sort of like with Reiki, when you heal another, you heal yourself because your intention is for someone else to do well. Well, not especially, but when your intention is legit. If you're going to say, well, I'm going to pretend that my intention is good for them and then it's going to be good for me. Not really. That is the direct opposite of the way that you sort of want to operate. This is also really, sort of like with, with this very Gemini energy, which is a very communicative energy, because, it's Mercury, it's the planet of communication and quick changes as well, and quick transformations, quick breakthroughs. You can expect things to work out really, really well for you. So something that I would recommend is maybe even in your journaling, almost the way that you would like do a business plan. This is what I'd like to do. This is what I'd like to do. This is what I'd like to do. You want to be very specific about what you want. Just saying that I'm open to my highest good and to blessings, it's a little vague. The universe is like, well, what the fuck do you want? Because we live in an infinite universe, you can have anything. So what exactly, precisely do you want? Try your best to be as precise as possible, and here's the magic. Once you've done that, I want you to see that as like a blueprint, as like a bullet point to the universe. So once you've done that, you surrender, you hand it over to the universe. And you say, universe, this is what I want, this is what I'd like to have, this is the highest that I can conceive for myself. You go about taking the action towards it, but then also be willing for things to happen in a different way, in a better way, in a beautiful way, in an unexpected way, in an upgraded way. But remember, again, I want to really reiterate this, because I have seen some other people also created some material that basically says to you, you ain't got to do nothing. You can just sit and wait and everything is going to be hunky-dory. Which, in essence, it actually will be, but it can be so much better. It can be so much better for you. Also, this is really an energy of your throat chakra, which is your energy center, your natural energy center through which the essence of life connects to and flows through you, of communication and expression. So, even if you have been struggling maybe to get your own thing going, your business going, maybe you're an artist or, and when I say artist, I mean music, painting, writing, creating woodwork, pottery, bakery. For me, really, anything that we do is an expression of ourselves. So anything that you would have liked to have going, this is a year that can really, really change things for you. And when you think of it, so let's go back to say maybe the year 2000, all right? And in the year 2000, I can't remember, I must have been about 18, 19. And that was the time of the turnaround, the turn of the century. I mean, first of all, when you think about it, you probably only got to experience a third of a century once in your life, unless somehow you unlock the magic of, living for another 1,000 years. So that was such an amazing time, but it was this turnaround, and it was like Y2K, and, if you don't know about Y2K, you can go look it up, but everybody thought the world was going to end, and that all these catastrophes and, Nostradamus sort of like doom's prophecies and whatever going on. But essentially, it was this big turning point in the world. Okay, it was this amazing turning point in the world. And also with 2012 and 2013, if you think about that, at least in South Africa, that was the time when it was sort of like not a bad stretch in actual fact, and the world was very different, and everybody had like Blackberries and, and things really shifted around. And funny enough, sort of like at the end of that period, at the end of the 2013 period, is actually when I sort of just found out what Reiki actually is, and I studied Reiki and level 1, and I never really thought that it would take me to where I am today. So this is one of those years that, I'm not going to lie to you, it is not necessarily all smooth sailing. It can actually be a challenging year. And this is what I want you to think of. Anything that comes to you that is hitting you smack on the face like that, this is life giving you feedback that is saying to you, yo, you might want to go in a different direction, okay? So I especially remember in 2012, I was working for this, I was working in a call center for an Australian, sort of like Australian-based, or what is the right way to say it? Like an Australian internet company, ISP company, like home Wi-Fi and stuff like that, and of course they had technology at the time that wasn't that known in South Africa, like, VoIP phones, which is basically making calls online and stuff like that. And I was working at a Cape Town-based service center, basically, for it at the time. And it was a very rough period for me personally, and it was quite a rough period for many other people as well. And I remember that early in 2013, I was like, fuck everything, I'm done with South Africa, gave all of my clothes away, gave my fish tank away, and I am now moving to the Middle East, and I'm never ever coming back, I'm going to Abu Dhabi, and, I was moving from that agro space. And of course, because I moved from that agro space, it was the worst, literally the worst experience of my life. I never actually thought that in my whole life I will ever have the experience of literally feeling like a slave, and in some ways being treated like a slave. But then I looked around me, and many other people were having the time of their life, So, of course, some people would be like, Adrian, what are you complaining about? And it sort of made me realize the things that make me feel trapped and, all that sort of stuff. So then I came back, and then when I came back, that is when I got aligned with moving into this beautiful space that I lived in at the time, and, learning Reiki and my life going in a different direction. So this period can be a very formative period, but again, I don't want you to be fooled by this pie in the sky that it's going to be this easy peasy sort of year, because even though it's got great potential, the energy of Jupiter, the planet itself, the energy of great luck and all those type of things, is not all that comfy and at home in the space of Gemini. So this can be a really breakthrough year for you, granted you put in the work. So if you're willing to put in the work, if you might experience quite a bit of fear in this year. But here's the thing: fear can either cripple you and hold you back, or fear can positively propel you forward. All right. So if you are willing to, pay attention to the signs, if you're willing to put in the work, if you are willing to say, well, this is not going this way, so maybe I should go that way, then things can really work out for you. So this is really a year to call upon your bravery. All right. This is also a time when you want to embrace sort of like social growth. So there is a lot of networking going on, a lot of friendships going on. And this is one of those spaces where we don't actually realize that we are living a very blessed period in our life. I have made connections with people throughout, just when I think of 2012, that are still very close connections. For example, in 2012, I met a friend of mine, and actually more than one, but this specific one, I've met a friend of mine that we are still really close friends. We are very, very close friends. Possibly, I would actually easily say my best male friend. Very, very close, beautiful Virgo energy person. And so that is pretty much the sort of thing that, that you could have happening. Also, with Jupiter itself, this is the energy that rules Sagittarius and Pisces. So this could be a particular good year for you. And also, of course, with Pisces, which is the house of sacrifice in more modern sort of like astrology, it's now ruled by Neptune, or rather Sagittarius as well as Neptune. And then, Sagittarius itself, which is the 9th house, is the house of purpose. Okay? So this year is very much about finding your purpose, finding your feet, speaking up for it. And the biggest part of speaking up for it, a lot of times people think when you speak about speaking up for yourself, you have to go stand on the roof and go like, oh, like King Cock. And you kind of have to, how can I say this? There's a sense of like, almost like wanting to project out to the world, this is what I want, this is what I need, this is what I deserve. But a lot of times those actions actually come from fear, because we want other people to buy into our dreams. That is a lot what a lot of sort of like religious sort of practices does. Let's get other people to believe what I believe, because if everybody believes and everybody backs everybody, then it means what I believe is legit. It doesn't really have to be like that. Okay, so it is, as I said, it's more of throat chakra energy, which is about communication. But remember, communication is not just words, because about 99.9% of our communication happens on a subconscious level. It's our sense and our energies and all those sort of things. And that is why sometimes you will see someone and you just like them, or you see someone and you're like, ugh. So this is a space in which you kind of redefine for yourself what it is that you want, what it is that you need. All right. There might be some changes taking place here for you that might not be the easiest, but it might be very beneficial for you. So this could be a space of releasing what you may have been holding on to, say maybe from your previous life, career, relationships, body types, houses, all that sort of things, and if you, now, I know this is a big ask, but if you can really trust your intuition at this particular point in time, and this is something that I'm very focused on going forward with my YouTube channel, to give you that guidance that is really going to help you, and not just, be some fluff that people sometimes give you. I'm not saying everyone, I said some, okay? That it can be a really beautiful, formative year for you. Because this is also a year of like sort of like mind intellect, I can almost say. Remember, that's what Gemini is all about. It is about trying this and trying that. So don't be afraid to try new things. And above all, if something hasn't been working, hear me now and hear me clear. If something hasn't been working, I want you to open yourself to the idea that you can do it in a different way, or it might be time for a complete change, like a complete different shift. All right. Remember, at the end of this period, of the last one, July 2013, when the last sort of like Jupiter in Gemini energy sort of concluded, that is when I went into Reiki, and it completely changed my life. So there are things that will happen during this year that can really, really, really steer you in a completely different direction. Things that you may have never in your life even heard about. Never, And I want to encourage you to really exercise those Gemini energy muscles of yours of excitement and embracing and trying something new. This is a time to be less rigid with yourself. Okay, Taurus energy can be very almost exhausting to the self. Because the thing about Taurus is, so remember that before Jupiter in Gemini, for the year before it was in Taurus, And as beautiful an energy as Taurus is, and I mean, some of the most amazing people that I know are Taurus, a little personal joke that I sometimes like to make is that whatever problem you have, Taurus will be like, let's get dressed up and let's go for coffee. Let's go have some cake and tea. And something that Taurus sort of like instinctively know is that if you can somehow raise your vibration so that like they somehow understand you're on planet Earth and things are rough, but if you can somehow do something that sort of like just brings you happiness and joy and peace and calm and comfort, everything else is going to be fine. Okay? But because of that as well, Taurus energy can very easily kind of like take it upon their own shoulders that they are supposed to sort of like be there for everyone. You need me, I'll be there. Okay? They can also sometimes take very long to kind of like, finish projects sometimes because they want it to be so perfect. They can be self-doubting of the self. And in that way, they can sometimes sabotage themselves. And so you may find that in the last year, life has been sort of trippy to you, and you were unsure of yourself, and you were unsure of your offer, and you might have even had, like, let's say you're a painter, and you've always been painting, it's always been great. Somehow things are not selling, and you're like, do I still have talent? Have I lost my touch? There may have been a lot of self-doubt that happened in the past year. Okay. And that can sometimes then lead to that frustration that Taurus can have, that people sometimes explain as the sort of like the bull in the china shop type of thing. And you may have had those experiences in the last year. But this is a space where you kind of want to let go of that rigidity, all the walls that you built for yourself. And you may have had the experience recently that all the sort of safety mechanisms that you put in place, from your life and from trauma and all those type of things, somehow they ain't working no more, And this is a time where you want to go back into the childlike sort of energy. And if you allow yourself to just have fun with things, I suppose that is almost like the golden key for yourself for this period, 25 May 2024 till June the 9th, 2025. Fun is your golden key. So a question to ask, and fun doesn't have to mean that it's like, oh, la, 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 la. It can just be that, does this give me joy? Do I feel witty when I do this type of thing, because Gemini is all about being very witty and versatile and all those sort of things, So does it give me joy? Can I do my job with joy? Can I live my days with joy? And so you may have quite a sort of like a couple of things that that come up during this year that might be quite challenging. I also wanted to say this. So remember, I was speaking about the benefic planets that Jupiter likes to be in. So Aries, Taurus, and Leo, and also the 7th house, which is Libra energy, which is actually called sort of like the Lord of the 7th house when it comes to Mercury energy. So this is really the space where things are beginning to balance out for you and even out for you, and you kind of that big dream and stuff that you really worked on and you thought it's never going to happen because, it's been a minute. This is the time when those things are actually working out for you. Okay? So things that I recommend for you for this year is to be open to social growth, is to be open to new things, is to not allow yourself to be guided by fear. And you know what? If you find that you are guided by fear, it is what it is. So then, you might want to do what I, for example, did a couple of years ago. I got approached by this really, really big company, this really, really big sort of like business, to create a crystal healing course for them. So of course and I mean, by this stage, I'm pretty much full-blown self-employed. Everything's going quite well in my world. It's like, well, yeah, obviously I had some challenges because I was quite new to self-employment at the time, but I was doing well enough. But of course, we explain or we discuss that things are going to go a certain way, and then you get to the company that's completely different. And all of a sudden, it's sort of like implied that that I'm stupid and I don't really know what I'm doing, and we were supposed to like record certain things, and I got this defective microphone, and it was like, well, how can it be defective? It's new and it's expensive, and I never quite get people's logic. I never really quite get people's logic around. It's like it's new, and how can it be defective? I mean, it's a piece of technology. But anyways, and I said to myself, well, what is the gift of all of this? And I realized that I had no self-confidence. It was so terrible. And I realized that it was in other areas of my life as well, And I said, okay, well, so this means that I've got no self-confidence. So instead of getting angry at the company and me for making the stupid thing, a decision and whatever, I said, well, maybe this is a blessing in disguise. So I signed up for a course, very detailed, in-depth course, with Kane Ramsey actually, to work on my self-confidence, to work on my motivation. So there's a lot of those type of things that might happen for you throughout this year. Again, it's not necessarily an easy peasy, just flow through life type of year. I don't want you to set yourself up for that, because if you do, you're going to set yourself up for major disappointment. So yes, things can happen a lot faster during this year, a lot easier during this year. Major breakthroughs with money, with romance, with just whatever your idea of abundance is. And something that I want to recommend that you start with, and I sort of like, I think there's one or two of my online courses where I speak about this as well. You can check the links for my online courses in the description. They're very detailed because I believe in only giving my best. But start in your journal by working at, writing down, what does abundance mean to me? And think of it past money. So if you could have anything your heart desires and nobody's disadvantaged and everybody's benefiting by it, whatever it may be, because when you come from true love and integrity, then nobody else will be disadvantaged. Okay. So what does all those things mean to you? Okay, what does all of those things, what does that abundance look like to you? And you may find as you go through this year, this is a year where that description can change quite a lot. So again, this is a year to not be committed to just this, or just that. It must be like this, it must be like that. Remember, bullet point, blueprint to the universe, you'll upgrade me. Okay, so yes, it can be a fantastic year for you. Clarity, support, people coming on board. It might be one of those years where you might work harder than you've ever worked before, but the reward coming back, the karmic reward coming back, is so much better because, a lot of the energy recently has pretty much been about sort of like karmic balancing and things like that. So a lot of the things that would have sort of like, boggled you over before won't boggle you over anymore. So that's a really, really cool thing. And you might get to work really, really hard during this upcoming year, but it's also a year that can be very, very joyful to you. And a wonderful way to then, really be able to see how far you've come is to do that journaling. Because when you can see how far you've come, when you work with the energies, that's when it gets amazing. For those of you that might be interested, Every month I do a new moon and a full moon journey. It's a 3-day journey. It consists of distant Reiki healing. Typically I draw you an oracle card on the first day, a personalized card, and I draw you a tarot card on the last day for some guidance. I like to do the guided sessions because I'm a regression hypnosis practitioner. So I'll do some guided sessions for you, maybe some chants for you. I'm very much about working with water energy, vibration energy, white light energy, candle magic, crystal grids. So beautiful, beautiful 3-day journey. If you're interested in that, you can just reach out to me. Typically every month before the new moon and before the full moon, I will typically, create, sort of a video, what is it that you can expect, just to give you a general idea in any case. I like to do like a tarot reading around that. And, if this is not, this is something fantastic to commit to, but even if this isn't something that you commit to, find something that really resonates with your soul, something that sort of speak to you honestly. So even though this is a fantastic year, this is not really a year, I would say, to entertain the fluff, okay? This is a year to be serious, but with that seriousness, it's not a rigid sort of seriousness, So again, you get to work really, really hard, but the reward coming back, it's so amazing. So whereas previously, you may have worked really hard and it was very exhausting, now you actually get to work harder, but it is more fulfilling. And working harder might even mean that, you expand so fast, because that's what Jupiter's about, and remember, it's a communicative energy with Gemini, that your business might grow faster than you imagine. You may have thought, well, you're always going to be just a solopreneur, and all of a sudden maybe you need like 3 assistants, where you quote unquote work harder, but maybe from a more observational point, where you get to say, okay, I'd like you to do this, and I'd like you to do that, and I'd like you to do that, So very, very good year to look forward to. Very much looking forward to your comments. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Share this video with somebody that you think that might benefit from it, and I look forward to connecting with you.